So there's major flooding down here in Cincinnati because the rivers are high. So imagine that. That's your business or your whatever, and you can't even drive down your street because the river is in your street. But so there's a ABS plastic plant down here on the river in Addison, and it was originally owned by Monsanto, and then they sold it to Bayer, the aspirin company. They're actually the biggest plastic producer in Europe, and that's this big complex over here. And it's been a really long time, and when I say a long time, I'm like in my 40s at this point, low 40s. And last time I was inside this plant, I'm not kidding you when I say I was probably 3 years old. And as I was driving, I was very aware of my surroundings when I was a little kid. I used to memorize everything real easy, and I knew how to get from point A to point B. And so as I was driving around down here by the river, all of a sudden I started recognizing landmarks. I'm like, oh, that plastic plant. And every time I type in Bayer, Monsanto, it'd never show up on the Google Maps. Well, here it is right here, this big plant right here. And you'll even get to see the semi trucks that are what we used to drive. My grandfather had a fleet of over 20 of these trucks, and the trailers have to be washed out after every run, because if you get, there's different colors and components of plastic. So if you get even one BB of plastic pellet in the next load, it contaminates the next load and they'll reject it. So these plastic pellets are hauled via train cars and also via barges. And so here's the semis. And so these trailers, these trailers are like submarines. They pressurize under vacuum. Actually, they vacuum, and once they vacuum, they can actually suck plastic pellets right out of a train car if need be. So we used to have to go rescue train cars and such back in the day. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around here because there's a guard shack up there, and they're just going to kick me out if I go up there. But all of our trailers used to be called 52 something, so like 5219 or 5221. And I'm just curious if they still have that numbering on the trailers. I'm not sure. But it would say it right there at the top. We'd have 52 whatever. That way we could keep track of all the trailers. And so that thing on the back is called a cyclone. And that allows them to vacuum. But anyway, it's now called INEOS, it looks like. Plastics, INEOS ABS. But we used to haul, his trucks were constantly running. He had over 20 trucks, and they'd go this side of the Mississippi all over the place. And then they would go, they'd go out west. You know, they'd go down to Texas and out past Colorado and stuff. They'd go out west when they had to. But they were always running, and his place is like an hour north of here in Indiana. And after 9/11 happened, the fuel prices went crazy, and he just shut it down. He didn't even sell the company or anything. And I was gonna take over that business, is what he kept telling me, because it was either that or my stepdad's business. And so it was like this weird war where they all wanted me to pick which side I was on, and I just was trying to keep everybody happy. But after high school, I came over here, was working for him, but that's about the time, then 9/11 happened, and then he started unwinding things and was just not in a good mood because he wasn't being profitable anymore, because when you have to go north and south an hour, what he should have done, hindsight's 2020, is he should have built a tank wash down here nearby, because then he could have just lived off the revenue of the tank wash, because he could have washed other trucking companies' tankers. But instead, he wanted the tank wash to be there on his property. He had like a 300-acre ranch, and so it's up there in Indiana. So the trucks had to drive. You had to bring them all the way back to Indiana, an hour away, to get them washed before you could then bring them back down here. Otherwise, you had to have somebody else wash the tankers down here, which were charging an arm and a leg. So he should have created the tank wash down here. But anyway, what allowed me to recognize this, aside from the road being along the river, why isn't this thing focusing? Sorry. What really allowed me to recognize it is actually up here, because as we would get close, okay, so by the way, there's not supposed to be any children inside the plant, and he would drive his truck in the plant and I'd be back in the sleeper cab hiding, and you know, I couldn't go pee. I had like a, you know, little pee bottle, you know, like a little Gatorade bottle or something, you know, we'd be in there for, you know, over an hour. And there was one time when somebody from the plant opened up the side door of the cab and saw me, and it was like a surprise, but he didn't say anything. He was cool. But this right here, this bridge, and then I'll show you what else. Let's see, that bridge is somewhat newer, but I'll show you what really allowed me to recognize where it was. This road, just in particular, I got this really crazy feeling. And those of you saying, oh, you can't remember back to when you're 3, I remember when the Space Shuttle Discovery blew up, and I was exactly 3 years old. And I remember watching Smokey and the Bandit and what do you call it, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, as well as well, not necessarily Ferris Bueller. I watched that one a bunch, but there was another one that I really watched, Cannonball Run, those kind of things. I used to watch those on VHS tape, and we had like MTV on loop on VHS tape that I used to watch all the time. And I know I was only 3 years old because his wife and he were divorced, and she had a specific house that she lived in, and so did my mom's oldest sister, and then they moved away eventually. But I know exactly how old I was because of the locations. But anyway, I quit going to the plant with him. See, he was babysitting me. That's why I had to go with him, because my mom was working at Elder Bierman's at the makeup counter. But and I used to sneak into work with her sometimes, and I'd sit inside the clothes rack, you know, those circular clothes racks with all the clothes hanging. I would hide inside a clothes rack, and I remember a couple times like customers would find me hiding in there. I was a very well-disciplined kid. But what really set it off in my mind that allowed me to remember where I was this train track bridge up here that's parallel with the road. I'll show you what I mean if it shows up. It's going to be hard to see because it's nighttime now. But up here on the left side, and also the way that the water is on the right side and the train track bridge is on the left, it's a very distinct scenery. And as soon as I saw that, it took me back in time really far. It's unbelievable, like how far back all of a sudden. So we're going to go through a bridge here, but over here on the left side, there's a black train track bridge. And that black train track bridge, I just remember that being alongside the road. And then there's another one of it up here as well. Gotta stop. Light in here so you can see out some new wipers. And this train track that we got to drive across too. I just remember this because there'd be trains over here on the left side sometimes lined up, or sometimes you could see through. And I remember, you know, always keeping track of if there was a train over here, what was going on. And then here's the train track. And I remember these events that as you would get closer to the plant, eventually I'd have to get in the back cabin. I'm telling you, I was 3 years old. I was 1, 2, 3 years old. He had me in like a car seat in the beginning. But over here, there's water on this side right now to our right. Okay? But there's also water to our left. There's water on both sides. So right here, there's a train track bridge on the left. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's a train track bridge right there alongside the bridge that we're on, and you look across the water. And I just, as soon as I saw that, I was like, holy shit, I'm near that plant that we used to go to when I was a little kid. See, when I worked at his place, there was no reason for me to ever come down to the plant because I didn't have my CDLs yet or anything like that. And, you know, I was only 18, 16, you know, so there was never any reason for me to come down to the plant because I was always busy. Whenever I was at his place, I was either running four-wheelers or I was baling hay or just, you know, mowing, something along those lines. We were always super busy. But we're down here on the Ohio River, and there's all these, you know, smokestacks and everything where they cool everything. And there used to be a Bigfoot truck, a blue Bigfoot truck, like literally like a real Bigfoot truck, up here in this one town, and I remember that too. But I've seen that. I've been in that town recently, or you know, a couple years ago, and I recognized that, but I've never been back to the plant. I've never been all the way down here before. We're going to go underneath the highway here. See, I haven't been on this stretch of road here yet. I was actually, I ran into this road and took a right, and I saw that bridge, and I was like, holy shit. And I was like, the plant's got to be back here. And I took I did a U-turn and went back, and I found the plant. And so let's see here. See, now we're in Indiana. Up here's the Indiana border. And it was always big drama on which way his trucks to go to the plant, because one way you'd hit the scales, otherwise you wouldn't hit the scales. Not that it really mattered, but they just didn't want to have to fuck with it, because then you have to deal with the DOT if they want to see logbooks and stuff like that. That was the other problem, was it was driving back and forth to sometimes the trucks would get grounded if they obeyed the logbooks. They weren't allowed to take their last 1 hour trip home. And so that was another thing after 9/11 that changed, was the logbooks. Oh, I remember that silo there in the water. No shit. I haven't been down this road in, I'm telling you guys, 39 years. I remember this bridge. I remember all this because I remember thinking, oh, I wonder how close we are to hitting that bridge. And then you can get on the highway, but then you're going to hit the scales. So the other way that they would go to avoid the scales was, I'll show you up here, and it's where the Bigfoot truck was. So we got water over here on this side. Everything's flooded right now. I can't believe I recognize that bridge. This is all flooded over here. This is all floodplain area. It's all flooded. It's funny, I was just having a conversation with the guys at the dealership who was doing the engine oil raising situation in my car. They're right near here. And I was like, have you ever seen that area flood? The floodplain area? And he's like, no, I don't think so. That was like a month ago, and here we are. It's flooded. Okay, so here's where you get on the highway, if you're going to get on the highway that way. Okay. But you can also go up here. Oh, right here it is. Yeah, so Kelsey Chevrolet is right there. That's the store who was helping us out with the oil drain situation. And this right here, there used to be a Bigfoot truck up here on the corner. And so this is the way that you could go. But the DOT was weird, where they started patrolling this area just to kind of snipe my grandfather's trucks. But he said that if he had it all to do over again, he would have built the tank wash, I believe, right in here, because it's right by the highway. And then he could have been, because the tank wash was like it was like a $300,000 building at the time. This is, like in the 90s. And it paid for itself in like a year, is how much tank washing we had to do. So my cousin, my mom's older sister's son, he used to work there washing the tanks, and I'd help out too. But anyhow, there used to be a Bigfoot truck that would sit back down there in the corner. And this takes us up by Brookville Lake. But this road here is the other way that you can come is you can come down through Oxford and down like 128 in Oxford, Hamilton 127 down to 128 and come in that way. But since he had 20 trucks and they were always 25 trucks and they were always out on a run, you can imagine the police and the DOT started to figure out. He was in business for a long time. He was in business since the time I was born to, like I said, after high school. So for over 20 years. So let's see here. there's a ski slope called Perfect Slopes, and they'd always have, you know, the snow blowers going, and it'd be lit up in the wintertime. It's going to be on the left side of this road. I remember that. I think that up there's new. I don't remember that. Yeah, these look like newer houses. These weren't all here before. This is all new. His trucks were always at the weight limit because they were completely loaded up with those plastic pellets. So we were like right at 100,000 pounds. His trucks had the ability, you could drop a strainer net into a creek or lake and suck water up, and then go hook onto a fire truck. So he used to go help the fire department put out fires when they didn't have water, because it's like a, what's it called, like a honey wagon on steroids, those trucks, and he could just go and yeah, I've been down this road a lot when I was a little kid. See, in the beginning he was driving, and he was going every day, and I used to ride with him wherever he was going. We'd go all over the country. He would take the shorter routes, and he'd have the drivers go the farther routes, but still, I would ride with him all over the place. And I just remember I always had to pee so bad, and he did not care. And all we did was eat junk food. All we did was eat, I think over there's the ski slopes. All we did was eat ice cream and cookie and candy bars and fried chicken. I mean, I was not raised in a healthy manner. I ate so much fucking ice cream. I was so addicted to ice cream, man. I didn't even want to eat anything else. And I was always hungry because I wasn't getting any nutrients because I was always eating fucking ice cream. The Schwan man used to come, and he had these big deep freezers, and they drop off all the ice cream drumsticks and ice cream sandwiches and regular ice cream. I mean, you do not understand how much fucking ice cream I ate. My liver got destroyed when I was like 3. Part of it was my fault, obviously. Part of it was my family. They're strict about everything else, but they didn't care how much ice cream I ate. And then freshman year of high school, when it started, that summer before that, freshman year of high school, see that, how that truck just went down? That's what we used to look like, except we had the bigger tanker. Freshman year of high school, and before that, I started running, working for a landscape company all summer, working 70-hour weeks, dodging child labor laws, and working for a guy, getting paid under the table. And then I played lacrosse just to try to get in shape. And I remember Hell Week in the middle of February, they'd make us run 8 miles, and I was the kid who couldn't even run like a mile at school without running out of breath because I ate so much fucking ice cream. I'd always have cramps. But lacrosse was like Forrest Gump epiphany for me. All of a sudden one day I had Achilles tendonitis my first year. My second year I started doing well, and then my parents grounded me from playing lacrosse, grounded me from going to church. I mean, they were just jerks, and they were evil people, man. And I had a 2-hour list of chores every day. My mom nowadays denies this, which is just absolute bullshit. She was nasty, man. If I didn't do 2 hours, I had to mop and vacuum the entire house every day when I got home from school. And if I missed the day, she'd come wake me up at 4 in the morning before school and make me do it. I mean, she was ruthless. She was just ridiculous. Even though I was going to end up doing it that day when I got home, she was nasty, man. I mean, my life was torture as a kid. My parents were not cool. I used to bawl my eyes out crying when I'd have to leave my grandfather's to go back to my parents. They were just not nice people, and they knew what they were doing. They were trying to fuck my life up to get me to snap. Like, they wanted me to be a bad person so that I wouldn't get the stock in the company. And it's crazy. My mom, she's so damn dumb. She still has the same habits. She gets around me and she starts being really nasty, trying to provoke me. I don't even hang out with her anymore. It's just not even worth it. She can't change. She's too old to change. She has no concept of the pain she causes. Now, she's just crazy, man. These last few years have really just been therapeutic. I've just been spending a ton of time on my own and not worrying about my family at all. And because originally when I was going to launch my big websites, it was to try to share with my family and make them happy, but they did me a big favor by just being the way that they are. I'm not going to get into it all, but they don't appreciate anything. Here eventually we should be crossing over 74, which goes to Indianapolis. We should be going over it, and that's why going down this road here was kind of like a no-no, because it was like, why didn't you get on the highway? And you have to have an excuse for why you avoided the highway. DOT pulls you over. I remember having to climb up that big hill, a truck struggling. But he had 359s and 379 Peterbilts. So they were capable.